Okay, so it being on or about 6:30 on Monday, May 22nd, bring this regular meeting of the Easton Conservation Commission to order. Please note this meeting is being conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board and commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meet is being recorded and available for broadcast playback at a later time by ECAT. Just to establish quorum, we'll take a roll call.
Benson present.
Carol present.
Spadia present.
Caldwell's present, so seeing we have a quorum present, we will proceed as we did at our last meeting. Vice Chair Carol and myself are going to alternate hearings tonight, so he will take the one following me, and then we'll alternate from there. So we'll start tonight with me at 435 Foundry Street. This is a notice of intent for a proposed upgrade of a residential septic system. And just before we start, Jennifer, did we get a DEP number?
Yes, it's 152-1773.
Thank you. And we have a butters notifications?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Peter.
Good evening, everyone. How are we?
Hello.
Did the screen come up to display?
It did.
Awesome. For the record, Peter Lyons with Collins Civil Engineering Group, representing the homeowner tonight for a septic repair at 435 Foundry Street. This is a failed residential septic system. We have wetlands on site in the wrapping around the rear of the property. Flags 3 through 28 are shown. And across Foundry Street, we have another BVW line. The purple line is our 100-foot buffers. So the only space outside of jurisdiction is already occupied by the house. This is kind of a maximum compliance situation. We tried to balance it between the resource areas as well as we could, while still maintaining the required separation setbacks to the house. This is going to be a pump system elevated 2 to 3 feet above existing grade. It's occurring in an existing lawn area. We're showing a soil stockpile out in the rear outside of the 50-foot buffers. The backyard currently has a fence around the whole property. So we're proposing putting the conservation markers at the fence line, with the exception of this one up in the front yard. There's 9 total of those proposed. Sedimentation control starts at the property line in the front corner and wraps around the site access, the stockpile area, and the proposed work, and ends back up at the northern corner of the house. Couple other little things on this project. There are some debris in the wetlands by flag 7 indicated on the plan. Those are to be removed as part of this project, as well as on the western portion of the property behind the fence. There's some more debris, including some wooden railroad ties back there, to be removed. That's it. We show a dewatering pit detail and location on the plan. Just to the west of the proposed septic. I'll take any questions from the commission at this time. Thank you.
Jennifer, any update for us here?
Just the wetland boundary was verified as correct. And as Peter mentioned, there is landscaping debris within the wetland and part of the buffer zone, and those are already being removed. So that's a good thing. And I didn't have any other comments. Thanks.
No comments from me. Any other comments from the commission? Seeing none. Any public comment for 435 Foundry Street? So seeing none. Peter, I assume we want to close since we have a DEP number?
Yes, please. We would.
So, motion to close 435 Foundry.
Benson, second.
Caulfield's Benson, second. Roll call.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's aye. Assume we have no further discussion, so make a motion to issue a permit for work in order of conditions, noting the debris cleanup is mandatory.
Carol, second.
Caulfield's Carol, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's aye. Okay. Do we have you for anything else tonight, Peter?
I don't think so. I just lost the agenda, but
No, we don't.
no, that's it.
Early night for you. Sorry we kept you for 6
No,
minutes.
sorry, you guys gotta stay. Good luck.
See ya.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Our next order of business is 91 Union Street, Robert Lincoln, Blackledge LLC, applicant Conoco Engineering, for a notice of intent for proposed apartment complex, access drive and parking, stormwater grading, utilities, and on-site wastewater treatment facility. This applicant has requested a continuance to the July 24th, 2023 meetings. Anybody here on behalf of that project? Do we see anyone?
I think Lori's here for a different project for Conoco.
Okay. So I guess I'll make a motion, motion to continue the hearing on 91 Union Street to July 24th, 2023, as requested by the applicant.
Spady, second.
All right, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's aye. Okay,
Before we move off that, could I ask just one question? Are they currently serious about moving forward? Seems like they're beginning to repurpose the land as a storage area.
They're continuing the groundwater elevation investigations.
Okay, thank you very much.
just as a point of order, that probably was probably a good question to ask before we voted on the continuance. So we just keep it in the hearing type of situation here. So 163 Turnpike Street, this is a notice of intent for a septic repair. We continued it from 5/8, but we didn't get a presentation on that day. It was continued without discussion. So this is a brand new presentation for us, and I believe we do have a butter notifications. So,
Correct.
okay. Brad, you're on mute.
Good evening. I'm Brad Fitzgerald from SFG Engineering. Having trouble finding my plan though on share screen. Let's see.
We can see your screen. So if you can find your plan, we'll
I just saved it here 10 minutes ago.
What about that Easton revised one?
Easton, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have an existing dwelling here at 163 Turnpike Street, which you see in the purple. It right now it's currently serviced by a cesspool. It's right in this area here, or about where this proposed septic tank is going. We're proposing to pump and remove the cesspool, put in a 1,500 gallon monolithic tank, a 1,000 gallon monolithic pump chamber. And then we're going to pump it to a pipe and stone leaching field in this location here. I originally had the system about 8 feet further to the southwest, but Jennifer was concerned about a tree or two, so we moved it over 8 feet in order to avoid having to take down. It was a very large tree. So this property is basically surrounded here by these drainage, almost look like the hand dug drainage ditches. Stephen Shamil flagged the edge of the ditches. He did find a small BBW area here. So we're about 96 feet from this BBW area. The entire system is within the riverfront area of these drainage ditches. At the closest point would probably be about, the leaching area would be about 89 feet from this ditch here at flag 1-109. Finished grading will go to about 75 feet. We are proposing erosion control, or siltation control, starting at the road, following the edge of the existing dirt drive around this way, and up around where the system's going, and then back down and all the way out to the road again. There is an existing dirt drive here, which will be utilized for the trucks to come in and set the tanks, drop the stone and sand, whatever's needed. We also call for the installation of a construction entrance where they're going to be coming in off the road, and for silt sacks in these two catch basins in Turnpike Street. Once the system's done, everything will be loamed and seeded, and the siltation control will stay in place until that grass is taken and there's no danger of any erosion into the wetlands. I did do an alternatives analysis, but there's really nothing that could be done on the property because the entire lot's within the riverfront area. So that's about all I have.
Brad, did you want to point out the no disturbance zone signs?
Yeah, I call for 1, 2, 3,
Oh, you missed
4, and 5. 5 signs.
6.
Basically one on the 3 corners of the field, and a couple along this dirt drive, so that there is some, there is some brush and debris that will be getting removed also here and here, the compost piles, and there's a little bit of brush in the wetlands over here. That's also called to be removed. So we do have five signs out there.
Yeah, there's 6, I see 6 on the plan, so
Oh, do you?
you missed one right at the edge of the dirt drive where it turns.
Oh, yeah, okay, there we go, right there.
Oh, God bless you.
It was the cough. I didn't want it to be really loud, but thank you.
Jennifer, any comments for us?
No, the wetland boundary has been verified. There were some plan changes that were requested and those were made. And as Brad said, there are some piles that need to be removed. So those will be included in the order of conditions permit for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the commission? Questions? Seeing none. So any public comment for 163 Turnpike Street? So seeing none, I assume you want to close, Brad, so we can issue a decision.
I would, please.
Thank you. Make a motion to close 163 Turnpike. You need a second?
Carol, second.
Caulfield's Carol, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Beatty, aye.
Caulfield's aye. I suppose we have no further discussion since we had no initial discussion. Make a motion to issue a permit for work order conditions noting removal of the brush piles in and around the wetlands is mandatory, and 6 wetland signs are on the plan.
Beatty, second.
Caulfield Spady, a second. Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Beatty, aye.
Caulfield's aye. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
On our next order of business, 518 Washington Street, Michael Needleman, applicant JK Holmgren Engineering, representative notice of intent to construct a small vestibule enclosed to the existing building, relocating and adding a small parking area and a plaza with rosary path and prayer station with a new stormwater management system.
The applicant has requested a continuance to the June 5th meeting so they gave us comments back and Beta needs to review those and I need to review those before the next meeting.
All right. That makes my job easy. Motion to continue the 518 Washington Street hearing until June 5th at the request of the applicant.
Benson, second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Bailey, aye.
Paul Fell's eye. And I smell a conspiracy here.
It's stacked the wrong way, Rory.
Oh, you guys are great. So next up is under request for modifications is from 560 Foundry Street, a request for an amended order of conditions to allow geothermal well installations on the project at 560. I believe we have Lori McDonald from Conoco Engineering.
Yes, good evening. Oh,
Hey,
can you-
Lori.
Hello, can you see me?
No.
The camera is not working. I don't know why that is. My camera is not working. Is that a problem?
No, we should proceed.
Right? Oh, there we are. Okay. Sorry about that. Yes, my name is Laura McDonald. I'm with Conoco Engineers and Scientists. I'm representing Sawmill LLC in regards to some installation of 350-foot deep geothermal wells at each of the residences at the Sawmill Village property on Foundry Street. We're requesting an amendment to an existing order of conditions for the project. Right now, the project is under construction. The east side of Beaver Brook is undergoing excavation and installation of sedimentation, installation of stormwater facilities and utilities at this point. The west side, the sedimentation controls have been installed around the perimeter, and then we're in the process of completing coverboard surveys in search of amphibians on that side of the project. So I can right now the project is these geothermal wells are being reviewed by the Easton Health Department. So their locations are temporarily shown on the plans, or they're shown on the plans as we're proposing them, but obviously the health department may require us to relocate some of the geothermal wells. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely, please.
Okay, let me figure out how to do that. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the east side of the Sawmill residential development. This is the side that's currently under construction. Foundry Street is right here to the north of the site. Over here is the east, and over here is west of the site. This right here is Beaver Brook, which separates the east phase from the west phase. I'll show you the west phase afterwards. These red lines are, the flagged areas are resource areas. So this is wetland D, which is an isolated vegetated wetland surrounded by this red line, which is the 50-foot buffer. This orange line is the 100-foot buffer. Then down here is wetland C, which is represented by this green line. We also are showing the 100-foot riparian area in this cyan blue, and the 200-foot riparian area also in cyan blue. This blue thin line here is the 100-year floodplain post-construction. So I don't know if you can see it, it's a little narrow, so it runs along here towards the back of the property, towards the back of the homes up towards Foundry Street. And this here is that wetland replication area B with the restoration of Beaver Brook. And these yellow highlighted areas are each of the wells that are proposed on the east side of Beaver Brook. There are 44 wells in all total between the east and the west side. I'll show you where everything is on the west side now. So this is to the west of Beaver Brook. Again, here's Beaver Brook. Here's your north arrow, east, west. Foundry Street is right up here. The Beaver Brook flows from north to south. And over here is Mulberry Brook. And Mulberry Brook generally flows from northwest to southeast in this direction. So again, the resource areas are these flagged areas. So this is isolated wetland B. This is the wetland E, which has the vernal pool located inside of it. So there's two sets of flags here. The outer set is the actual BVW to Mulberry Brook. And within that is the mean high water mark showing the limits of the potential vernal pool. It hasn't been certified yet. And this is the eastern vernal pool habitat, this kind of purpley line. And this red line again is the 50-foot buffer surrounding resource areas. And then this orange line is the 100-foot buffer surrounding resource areas. So I forgot to mention, this is wetland F and wetland H. These are isolated local wetlands. And then down here is wetland I and G, which are also isolated wetlands. This is vernal pool A over here. Again, the flag and line. There's two sets of flags, the mean high water line, as well as the BVW line. Wetland A is a BVW that borders on Beaver Brook, and it runs all along here, north to south along the west side of Beaver Brook. And again, this is the eastern vernal pool habitat line, this purple line. Then the red is the 50-foot buffer, and then the orange is the 100-foot buffer. And all these yellow dots are the wells that are proposed at each of the lots, all running down on each site. They're going to be 350 feet deep. They're going to be installed using our air rotary drill mounted on 40-foot long utility truck. A combination of air and potable water from an on-site water tank will be used to cut the boring holes. After the boring holes are cut, a plastic tubing loop is going to be installed into each of the boring hole, and the boring hole will then be tremie grouted to provide insulation and keep the heat within the geotechnical system. The plastic tube loop is going to be fed into the borehole prior to the tremie grout from a portable tubing reel brought on site. So that's another piece of equipment that's going to be at each of these boreholes. It's basically a trailer attached to a truck. Plastic tubing loop will be fed into the borehole from a portable tube reel. As I mentioned, the closed loop tubing is going to be linked with the geothermal heating system installed in each of the homes. The geothermal well link is going to be via horizontal piping extending from the borehole to the house. This is going to be a closed loop system. So the loop will be filled with water and glycol, which is going to be constantly circulated through the closed loop heating system. And there will be no additional water or glycol added to the system. Once the water and glycol is added, that's it, that everything is closed. So there is no impact to wetland resources associated with the work. All the work will be within the current limits approved by the commission. So the sedimentation controls are these orange lines here. I don't know if you can see this. I didn't point this out. The silt, I'm sorry, the sedimentation control that's currently in place, silt curtain on this side right now. We haven't installed the silt sock yet because we wanted to try to leave as little cover for the amphibians to use as possible while we're doing the coverboard survey. So this orange line is the sedimentation control on the east side. And then on the west side, I'm sorry. And then on the east side, let's see if I can find it. This isn't really called out very well. Oh, here it is. So this is the sedimentation control here on the east side. Followed it along. And it's one over here on this side as well. So all these new underground structures are within the current limits of work. And when we do install these wells, the contractor, I had a chance to talk to him. He generally will excavate a little hole right on the down slope side of the well to catch any water that discharges during the drilling process and during the Tremy grouting process. So water will be captured in a small detention area and allowed to infiltrate. The perimeter erosion controls will serve as the erosion controls on site. We didn't see a need to add any additional erosion controls at each of the well locations. And at this point, I think I'll turn it to the commission.
Jennifer, any comments for us?
Yeah, so Lori, do they do the wells before or after the foundations? Some of them look like they might get a little difficult to get to.
I am not sure how they're gonna do this. I would imagine they'd have to wait till the foundation is installed so they can trench in the piping to the wells. I'd have to ask. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
I can bring that information back at the next hearing.
okay, it's more, yeah. Because the lots are really tight and
Yeah.
you removed, or they removed most of the retaining walls, right? In between the houses?
I believe so. Yeah, this I don't think this shows the retaining walls very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are no retaining walls shown on this plan.
Yeah, there weren't in that row.
This is that fence that we are proposing. Let me see the other sheet here. I know there were some retaining walls originally
there's-
proposed back
But you see how
here.
it's pretty narrow for being able to get a truck in the back of any of the lots that are close to wetlands, so.
Yeah. Exactly, correct. I'll have to check and get more information about that.
So yeah, you gave us a good description of where you are within the construction schedule. Do you want to just fill everybody in on the silt that's getting into the wetland and how you guys have been
Yeah.
trying to mitigate for that?
Yeah, so we think it might be a pre-existing condition because of the fill on site. Right now, there's we originally thought the silt was coming in from over here, so we installed some fiber rolls in a U shape to try to collect any silt coming down from this area. Nothing seemed to get collected in this area, but there was some more silt in Wetland C after this weekend's rain event. I was out there on Sunday. I took a look along the siltation controls, and I did see right here that there could be some water seeping in through the slag and everything that's forming the slope in this area. So we're thinking that this basin is complete. We were hoping that completing this basin, backfilling it with suitable soil and having it ready for stormwater events would solve the problem, but unfortunately it did not. And when I was out there yesterday, I did see the silt, so I flagged one of the multiflora roses here, and there was another previous orange flag, so there could be an old buried outlet or something. I'm not sure. We couldn't really find anything here. But there is obvious silt that very minor, because it's very fine silt. The water is just milky, if anything, within Wetland C, and there's a very, very fine layer of silt on the leaf litter. So we're thinking the next stage, rather than going in and using the flocculant, should be to install another couple of fiber rolls over in this area to surround that weeping and see if that's going to solve the problem. Otherwise, if that's not it, I'm thinking, like Jennifer had mentioned, she thought it might be just seeping in, just resuspension from what's already within Wetland C. So I'm kind of at a loss. It's hard to.
So, yeah, before that infiltration basin receives water, though, it's got to be stabilized with vegetation.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And in the meantime,
it's not online.
yeah.
We did install our earthen berm up around here too, to try to slow down any flow or contain any flow, which seemed to work pretty much. We did have a little bit of erosion over the pipe that was installed, that eventually outlets to this infiltration basin. It's not shown on this plan, unfortunately, but we did have some erosion and some silt build up along this silt fence after this rain event, but there was no impact to wetland resource areas. We were I didn't go out after they were planning to clean this up today. I'll check it out tomorrow. I was off site before they started cleaning it up, but they were going to shovel out the silt that built up and extend the earthen berm further to prevent any additional washouts over that culvert. It's new soil, and it wasn't like you'd mentioned, it hasn't been vegetated yet. This basin was just completed last week, like Thursday or Friday. So once we get some temporary seed mix in there and everything kind of stabilizes, we shouldn't have any additional washouts, and that berm should help quite a bit.
Okay, so the silt in the wetland they were observing after large rain events, not necessarily during certain activities with large equipment on the site. And so I had directed them to, if you can't figure out where it is, then you've got to at least block off a section of the wetland where you think the silt is coming in, so it's at least contained, and then use the flocculant, which will attract the silt to it, and then you just scoop it out afterward. So they can't have silt in the wetland during their project. So that's sort of where we're headed.
So Jennifer,
find areas where they think the silt is coming out, they're going to block it off within the wetland because they have to, and then put the flocculant in to remove the silt. So it looks like you'll get some information on when or how they're going to get to the back of the lots to install the geothermal wells if the foundations are in, which is first, the well or the foundation, and then the final locations from the Board of Health.
yes.
Okay.
And next hearing, I can have that information.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Great. Thank you, Lori.
Great, thank you. When is the next hearing then? Or does the commission have any question or?
Yeah, hang on, I
Sorry.
think so. So can you give us some sense, since these weren't on the original plan, was there a specific choice made by the contractor to install these geothermal wells? I mean, I don't think, this is probably the first project I've seen where new construction is looking to install geothermal wells as a way of heating. So maybe you could give us some perspective on, is there an environmental benefit to do so? And you give us a brief description of that.
So this was something the applicant decided to do. I'm not quite sure why, but it is a benefit. Geothermal wells are a great way to heat your home. They take heat from down below the frost line, heat up the water that's within the pipe, and then the water comes back into the home and heats up the home. I'm not sure how the geothermal system is going to be in the house itself. A lot of times they have water piping running underneath the cement floors of the basement, and they keep the water in the cement floors, so it heats up from the cement floor all the way up into the house. But I'm not sure what type of internal system it's actually going to be. But it does reduce your costs significantly, your heating bill costs. So I actually lived in a house that had not the geothermal wells, but something similar, radiant heat type system with the foundation, or the cement floor was fitted with water filled piping that was heated through the water heater system.
So even though this is a closed loop system, what are the dangers of a leak within that closed loop system? That I assume that piping can leak at some point. So what are the dangers of the materials that are inside the piping, the water and the glycol mix?
So the wells are going to be tremie grouted, so they'll be filled with grout all the way down to the depth of the well, is my understanding. So there shouldn't be any issues with leaking that I'm aware of. I can double check with the contractor and and do some more research to see if there has been any issues. I know with the open loop system, they were having a lot of problems. So anybody that had an open loop system, they had issues with iron in their piping, causing blockages and stuff. So they had to abandon their closed loop systems and switch to abandon their open loop systems and switch to a closed loop system. So I'm not really sure what else could break below ground. I guess you could have some issues with the pipe from the well to the home itself, and anything within the home. I'd have to check to see if there's any history of breakages.
So I guess, is there any potential for, I mean, I know they were talking about having some sort of containment trench or something while doing this. Is there any other concern about construction impact to the resource areas? In a lot of places, you're right up against the wetland resources in these, where the construction of this, I know it's within the work area, but we're right up against the wetland resources, and I'm just concerned if there's any potential impact to the areas beyond the containment pits that you're talking about.
I looked at a few of the installation processes. They have a lot of the installation videos on YouTube, and looks like everything's very confined to the well itself. I mean, you'll have some trucks parked up close to the well drilling area, but all that equipment will be on at least in this case, will be on the Cutter Drive side of the wells. To me, it looks like there's plenty of room to install the wells based on what I've seen in the videos.
I mean, I think my comment is more related to we're drilling down 350 feet, right? I mean, I don't know whether this is going to have aquifer impacts. I think we're probably close to the Canoe River aquifer. I don't think we're in the Canoe River aquifer at this place, but whether that is going to have an impact in a closed loop system, I assume that there's not going to be any materials that are going to get in there, but I don't know what's going to happen with the drilling. I'm sure Al could give us some feedback on some of that stuff because he's been involved in a lot of that activity in his own personal experience. So, but I'm just this is a brand new process to us, and in a highly environmentally sensitive site. And so I'm just trying to get as much information as possible to ensure that we don't need to add additional conditions or amend the order of conditions. I mean, I think we're just trying to make a modification here, but also judge, do we need to have additional conditions to the plan? I think in general, geothermal technology is something that for the past 5-10 years is something that has been being pushed as an alternative solution. And so I think from that standpoint, it probably has a beneficial environmental impact from the sense of decreasing carbon footprint. So decreasing the use of carbon emitting fuels to generate energy. So I think there's probably a great benefit to this. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't sort of say, whoa, that's great, and sort of lose sight of any potential contamination issues here or other impacts to other resources such as the aquifer and the wetlands that are sitting right next to these wells. So.
I can get some more information about that. I'll do some more research and check with the contractor and the engineer.
So Jennifer, did you ever get your question asked about the LSP reports that were happening when they were doing some site work? I know they were supposed to have an LSP out when they were doing some of the work.
I don't know that I posed that to Lori.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then-
Lori, do you know where they are with the LSP looking at the soil? Because you have a separate plan sheet on where they're supposed to have the LSP review.
I'm not sure of the status. I think our LSP team has completed some analyses of soils, but I don't know the actual results.
So maybe we can bring that back for our next meeting. You could take that as an item, and if there's questions about it, have someone reach out to Jennifer. But it was one of the issues that we had made as a condition because there were some areas that were, potential areas of previous contamination. We just wanted to make sure that everything stayed as acceptable limits of contamination that we saw previously. So in other
Okay.
test pits and whatnot. So I think we were along those lines.
Okay.
And before I ask any more questions and take all the questions away from the commission, Al.
I personally am in favor of this. I think it's worth noting that this not only provides heat during the winter, but it provides cold energy during the summer because the typical ground temperature, below the surface is approximately 55 degrees. So you can change your inside of the mechanism to both heat and cool the building. So we get a 40-year source of zero carbon emissions. And I think it helps on the electric and bringing down the electrification versus a normal AC system. So you get benefits year round on this type of condition. I do think it'd be worth taking a look at a drilling program and what that would entail, since there's going to be a large number of them, how they propose to handle any water from the well that's brought up. I think that's worth noting. The whole capture of how they're going to get rid of the grinds from the air, from your drill bit will probably be in water most of the time. So you're going to probably end up with a slurry coming out of stone fragments and water because you're going to be below the water table and most likely. So we'd want to take a look at really how the water is going to be contained, you know, coming from the well, because you're going to displace a lot of it, you know, with the piping, the bore column, your drilling column and the drill. So those are most of the things that I would think of, but I am in favor of it if done right.
Thanks. Any other comments, Mike or Ben?
No, I'm in favor of this. I think of all the ways you could heat or cool, this probably on a 30-year event horizon has the least environmental impact. I mean, how often do we see systems where oil tanks fail and leak into wetlands? And you know, we saw on the North Shore what happens when we rely too much on natural gas. So I like this quite a bit. I don't see a downside. I would like if the applicant would be willing to see just a detail of the system that they're going to put in. But that's all I'd want to see.
Yeah, I'm good with Al. Made me feel pretty confident, so I'll answer my questions. Thanks, Al.
Yeah, a lot of expertise there, that's for sure. I appreciate it. Okay, so I think that from our standpoint, you know, I think getting a little bit more details on the drilling sequence as well as the handling of any sort of remnants and refuse from the drilling process itself. As Ben said, I think, and I think even Jennifer sort of talked about, you know, just getting more details on the systems and how they lay out on the property and how they connect to the house would probably be beneficial to us. Understand how much that horizontal piping in its location in each one of these homes. And I think that, you know, just understanding what would happen in a leak situation if that horizontal piping, which isn't contained in a grout situation, might how it might impact the area. So I think those are some of those things here from our standpoint. I think in general we obviously see a overall environmental benefit to this process, but I think we just have to be diligent about how we approach it for sure, especially in this sensitive site. Any public comment on 560 Foundry Street? Seeing none. So we'll continue to June 5th pending the final locations from the Board of Health as well as the additional information that we requested here tonight. And also the LSP logs that Jennifer and I had inquired about.
Sounds good.
So I need a second for that.
80 a second.
Caulfield Spady a second to continue to June 5th. Roll call.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's aye. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you. Have a
Good
great
project.
evening. Thanks.
Calling the next order of business, certificate of compliance for 507 Foundry Street. Do we have anyone here for that?
No, they had some issues at the last meeting, but they submitted the rest of their documents, and so they've been resolved.
I was glad you weren't going to tell me that we're going to continue this one too. Then I think Rory would really come through the screen.
Oh, you can issue a full on them.
So
Yeah.
motion. Yeah,
Can I ask one question?
please.
Of Jennifer. So the one issue that was addressed in response, but I'm not sure that it was addressed in general, was that there was some runoff of the driveway that they took care of with some riprap or some stone
Yeah.
there. And they said, well, before we put the stone there, it was just erosion, and it wasn't because we changed anything, it just was what it was doing. So was that an acceptable response to you?
Wasn't a great response, but where it was a little complicated because when they came before us, they said they were not going to be redoing the parking lot.
Right.
But then the planning board told them they needed to redo the parking lot and they didn't come back to us.
Right.
And so then when I saw them doing it, he asked for a minor modification. And at that time, planning board hadn't asked for redevelopment standards to be met. And we didn't either. So having the little bit of stone is better than nothing, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's 90%, right?
sure.
Go ahead, Ben.
All right. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance at 507 Foundry Street.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's eye. Jennifer,
Want me to do enforcement? All right.
Please.
5 Jonathan Drive. We changed the enforcement order to have the restoration plan due today. I checked in on them about 4 o'clock and they need till the end of the week, but they are working on the restoration plan. So I said that was fine. 33 Gilmore has now been resolved. I met with the owner and the landscaper. They've removed the landscaping debris from the wetland. And they have a new place where they're supposed to be putting it. So you should be all set. And we have a new one, 24 summer cutting vegetation near the wetland and a vernal pool. They received a letter and they did contact me today for a site inspection.
okay. Any questions from anybody?
I'd like to see that list getting smaller.
She's not telling you about that.
Sort of, I only put on there what I had an update for. so
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
not necessarily smaller, it's just all the updates we got.
Okay. I'll take that at least.
Meeting minutes, anybody have any comments? I had none, anybody?
I had none.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for 5/8/23.
Benson, I. Second. Sorry.
Covered it all.
Well, he just did double whammy there. He did both of them at the same time. Good job. Caulfield's Benson, second roll call.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's eye. I have no updates from the chair this week. Jennifer?
No, I don't have any updates.
Okay then. Any other questions from the commission before we adjourn?
Just a note, we finished the preparation of the review of all the grants before the CPC. And the last time I talked to you, we had 367,000 that was going to be turned back. I'm happy to report that we closed out another grant that had been outstanding for a while. We're able to add another 270,000. So our total for that activity is 637,000. So, and no money was lost.
Unbelievable.
We have no idea that this is a revenue generating post.
Unbelievable. The ROI over there.
Doesn't the CPC spend money? They only just put money back in the bank. Nice job.
That's wild.
I appreciate that. So thanks so much. That's it for me. A motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
Benson, second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Spady, aye.
Caulfield's eye.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Good night, guys.
I
Night.